Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with the ultimate episode of 10-minute testing. This is, like I said, the last one in this quote-unquote season of the show, but don't worry, I'll be returning on Monday with a whole new season, along with a whole bunch of other types of content that I think you'll really enjoy. But for now, let's just jump into Deck Edit and see what I am playing for this one last time. So this is a deck I've wanted to talk about for a long time. It's called Normal Pendulums, and unlike actually viable pendulum strategies from the last couple of formats, it attempts to use pendulum monsters that do not have an effect and are also not named metal foes. You can see there's a little bit of synergy in things like Dragoons of Draconia, which allow you to search a 4 or higher normal monster from your deck when a normal monster you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle. Things like Foucault's Cannon, which acts sort of as a delayed Galaxy Cyclone, destroying a face-up spell or trap card the turn it was activated in a pendulum zone. Things like Dragonhorn Hunter, which give your normal monsters 200 attack. Things like Lance... like this card that give your normal monsters piercing, and things like this which allow your normal monsters to destroy a card on the field when they deal battle damage to the opponent. We're trying to make as much use out of Heart of the Underdog as possible in this list by taking out cards like Summoner's Art that are usually found in other iterations of this deck in order to try and draw 10 or 12 cards a turn. We're playing 3 copies of Dragoons of Draconia, 3 copies of Foucault's Cannon, 3 copies of Mandragon, and 3 copies of Dragonhorn Hunter as our low scales, and then 3 copies of Lance, 3 copies of Sky Dragoons, 3 copies of Flash Knight, 3 copies of Dragong in English localization, which will be hilarious when it comes out, and 3 copies of Mild Turkey as our high scales. Fun fact, Mild Turkey also acts as a low scale if you roll like a 3 or a 4 or higher. It's the same card as Ghost Beef effectively, but its star line adds up a little bit better with what we're trying to do. We're also playing 3 copies of Toon Warrior, so we can more effectively power out Synchro monsters. We kind of have the choice to Synchro or Xyz a lot in this deck, and Synchroing with Pendulum monsters is just a lot better than Xyz is with them. We have 1 Rescue Rabbit, because Rescue Rabbit is busted in a deck that plays a lot of normal monsters. We have a Regeki, 2 Pot of Desires, 2 Pot of Riches. I'm not completely sold on this card. We'll see how it works in game. 3 Heart of the Underdog, and 1 Solemn Warning. In the extra, we have options for 9, 8, 7, and then 6-star Xyz, 5-star Xyz, and 4-star Xyz. So with that, let's jump into the games and see what happens. So for game 1, we're playing against some kind of Synchro player that's playing very good cards like Swords of Revealing Light. He's drawn 2 tuners, which is basically exactly what I want to see. We've drawn Rescue Rabbit and a bunch of guys. Unfortunately, I believe we are going first. Basically, the last thing this deck wants to do is go first. You can see we don't really have a play. If we make a 6-star, that's not really very good, because the only really good 6-star we can go into is Utopia Beyond, and making that out of nowhere isn't particularly effective. So we're going to Rescue Rabbit, use our Mild Turkeys to go into Crazy Man hand, and just hope that our Stando the hand is enough to prevent our opponent from going off. He's going to play Swords, make a Quick Draw, return Junk, make Gen X, and then make Quick Draw again. I'm like, that's cool, but I don't really understand why you're doing it. I'm going to play Foucault's Cannon and Lancephorus, then power out as many guys as possible. This way, at the end step, Foucault's Cannon can destroy Swords of Revealing Light. He draws Plague Spreader Zombie, a 3rd tuner. Man, that's really rough for him. We're going to special summon the last 2, go into Crystal Wing, Mega Synchro Man, Dragon, and start destroying monsters. I don't switch the hand to attack mode because I'm not very good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Our opponent top decks Dark Hole, which is kind of bad for us, but not that big of a deal when you realize that we just have a bunch of normal monsters in our extra now and can summon them. So we're going to get in for lethal because Lancephorus gives our guys piercing, and that's the end of the game. So just like last time, our opponent is playing a very good deck, but also has Mass Change second, and Dark Law can kind of screw up any Pendulum player's day. We have Pot of Desires in our opener as well as Pot of Riches, but most importantly, we have Heart of the Underdog. We don't have any actual monster plays, but we'll see if we can draw some off pot. We do, and we're going to make a couple of Foucault's Cannons, think about going into a rank 5 and recognize, the rank 5s we could make aren't particularly good anyway. He's going to go into Shadow Mist, go into Dark Law, and suddenly we actually have a little bit of a problem here. He's going to remove this one and end his turn. I'll draw, then draw off Underdog, 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 and then think, okay, we have to stop because we're going to draw the whole deck. We Pendulum Summon as many as possible, one of which can get over Dark Law, and this is actually a lethal amount of damage, so I guess that's it. On the search, I actually looked, and every single spell was banished by Desires. Thanks, fam. So after those two very fun and interactive games against world-class opponents, we're now playing against another really good deck, Magispector and also Perform Pal Madolche, which seems like it, you know, could be something. We are going to go first again, which is not really where we want to be. This time we get to make Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which is at least a little bit better than usual. He's going to lead off by Pendulum Summoning a couple of Angelis and a Hoot Cake, and I'm like, oh god, we have a problem now. Messengelato's going to get Ticket, and now he has Ticket and Angeli, and I'm like, ah, god, can I really do anything about this? He's really going off here, making just a whole bunch of guys, and finally he makes it to Utopia the Lightning to get over my Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which is a giant problem for me. So suddenly I draw a Pot of Riches, which is, of course, not on. Thanks a lot, fam. I'm realizing instantly the problem with Pot of Riches. I decide to go for the attack on the Angeli to ruin his normal summon next turn, but it turns out not to matter a lot. I mean, Ticket is just a really good card. He's going to make a Queen Tiara Masu, shuffle a bunch of cards back into my deck, including one of my scales, and suddenly I'm in a very, very bad spot. If I had one more monster in my extra deck, I could Pot of Riches. I draw Mild Turkey, roll a dice, lands on 3. That means I get 1 Lancephalus, and I can beat up the Tiara Masu, which is a start, but I know he has the Angeli in hand. He's got the Ticket active, and then he normal summons Skullcrabat Joker. So at this point, I'm pretty much boneronied. He's going to Pendulum Wizard and add a bunch of cards to his hand. Silverclaw actually represents lethal here, but he's going to make Castel and go ahead and shuffle my dude back into the deck and beat me up with a bunch of Hoot Cakes and Angelis for game. So we're back with the deck. There were parts of it I liked, and those parts were drawing 15 cards off Heart of the Underdog, and there were parts that I didn't like, and those parts were holding Pot of Riches. I think Pot of Riches is really not where this deck wants to be. We could probably take these 2 cards out and replace them with Summoner's Art. Doesn't screw up our spell and trap count for Heart of the Underdog. In fact, adding 3 of them and taking out the Solemn Warning is probably an even better idea. This way we're still able to draw as many cards as possible off of Underdog, but are also able to find the cards that win us the game with Summoner's Art. I was also suitably impressed with cards like Dragoons of Draconia, cards like Lancephalus. Sky Dragoons is really cool. However, at the end of the day, this deck probably just doesn't do as much as any other Pendulum strategy. So if you're okay with the fact that you'll always be fighting more for less reward, then go ahead and play this deck, but if not, probably another Pendulum strategy is much more up your alley. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed me concluding this season by beating up on 2 people who might as well have been playing the Yugi starter. I hope you enjoyed watching me lose to Madolche for the 4th year in a row, and I hope you just enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a like, a comment, or a subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you want to see me play the decks we make on this show on stream, I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at twitch.tv/monobluetron from 9:30 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time. Finally, if there's any deck or archetype you want me to play once this show starts back up on Monday, then let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to accommodate you. Otherwise, I will see you on Monday.